When did you graduate from university?
98.
98. Yeah. Would you say, I mean, you probably witnessed things. Was there, because in colleges there is certainly, at least today, there's definitely quite a big hookup culture. Was there a hookup culture?
Oh yeah, it's
back in the 90s.
College, man. It's college. Everyone's. I mean, you're basic. I think actually, it seems probably back then people were probably having sex more. I think people probably now, between porn and whatever, like you just getting off in different ways. Where back then you actually, like, if you wanted to like get off, you had to like find somebody to get off with.
A body,
old school, you know,
a warm body.
Yeah. You have sex with someone else. It was weird.
Yeah, Brian, you said hookup culture, but as far as I know, aren't Zoomers like losing their virginity later and later?
Is there like a statistic or?
Well, that is true.
Is it true?
Yeah,
Zoomers
like
are having less sex than millennials did at their own age.
Yeah, like there's all this talk about like how the younger generation, like millennials on the cusp and like Zoomers specifically, like hookup culture and like fucking a bunch, but I don't believe that's the case. And I think that's like a reason why there's kind of like this loneliness epidemic amongst like boys particularly, but like Zoomers in general, waiting longer and longer to have sex. So
they party less, they socialize less, of course.
Yeah,
that means that they have less relationships, they have less sex.
Yeah, so like I don't find the hookup culture really, I feel like that's getting phased out, if anything.
I mean, the thing is, you can get everything so easily now, right? Like, you can get every human connection you want, whether it's sexual or emotional or anything, basically from your phone.
Dating apps.
Well, there's a simulation of it, but not the real thing.
Yeah, so it's a huge problem because you used to, like, actually have to go to, like, have any of you ever gone to a bar by yourself and just, like, sat at the bar?
Yes.
And seen if a guy, like, hits on you or even just have a drink by yourself? Like, there's something about that. Like, in the old days, like, if you were meeting a friend at the bar, at the movies, before you had a phone, right? Like, you had to stand there, and then you would people watch. You'd actually just like look at people.
Yeah.
And like, we've just sort of devolved all of that, so our brains are just never not hooked into the matrix.
Yeah.
And I think that that's added to a lot of the kind of loneliness and craziness that it seems like a lot of people in their 20s are feeling right now.
And then I think it's linked to a lot of like depression and anxiety too, because you're so like isolated.
Yeah.
Why are men so afraid to approach women these days?
Me too.
Ooh,
Is it
TV,
that?
news, and things. It never seems that nothing bad is reported about a woman doing something, but it's always like, I mean, growing up, my mom was a police officer, so she would always, kind of, just from her own experience, she'd say, oh, you better lock the door because, a man could come in and
stranger danger mindset.
Yeah, and here's, as a young girl, I'm like, oh my gosh, men, scary. Me, like this little thing I need to protect. Like, so it may be just that conditioning maybe over time and yeah, but I've heard some interesting, crazy stories about women too, like doing things, but I'm like, man, why wasn't this on the news? Like, it needs to be equal proportion.
Well, I think like there's obviously the fear of rejection in there too. It's not just Me Too, right? Like,
oh, certainly.
Men, there are a lot of
100%.
Insecure men out there that really don't want to face the possibility of rejection, so they will never put themselves out there at all. But then again, on the other side, women need to learn how to reject men without being rude to them and having some grace about it. Like that's kind of a lost art, is rejecting someone in a generous way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I think a lot of men have the experience of maybe they're a little shy or nervous, but they're not otherwise being creepy or a jerk or an asshole, and they'll approach a girl and it's like a fucking just a train wreck. And not some women will graciously reject a guy. Hey, oh, thank you very much. I have a boyfriend, whatever. But a lot of men will have the experience of going up to a girl and it's like, it can be pretty brutal. The ways in which men get rejected. Certainly in like a party type environment, if there's alcohol involved, even a guy who like in a very polite way goes up to a girl, like when alcohol is involved, people can be very obnoxious and
aggressive.
Brutal. And also with social media, you have like, men are also scared of like being like, they don't want to come off like a creep, not just in that moment, but then like if the girl goes and tells all her friends, oh, this guy came up to me and approached me, and I don't know, so
she could record you. Yeah.
I think the other thing too is because of dating apps, like before it was, if you wanted to meet somebody, you had to approach them in person in some capacity, otherwise you pretty much, like, there was no dating apps. So
Grid One Motorsports
but now that
donated
with dating apps,
$100.
it kind of alleviates
Normally
that.
I would ask what the girls